What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday night. It is the All About the Birds weekly Eagles report here on the All About the Birds network. I, of course, am Chip Keggy, joined over on this side by Johnny Uleka, and we have a special guest tonight. Let me tell you, we had him hanging out with us for like the last 5-10 minutes. This dude's wild. I love this guy. This is going to be a good one, folks. We have with us Hunter Brody at Broads81. He is the host of Sports Talk with Broads. He is the creator of Broads Media. He is a 97.5 fanatic host and a producer of Inside the Birds. He is one of the most passionate and enthusiastic Philly personalities, and he is a Miller Lite guy over a Coors Light guy, but we're not going to hold it against him. Hunter Brody, what's up, my friend?
What's going on? That is correct. It says it's a fine Pilsner on the can. I do not see anything close to that on a Coors Light can or bottle. Therefore, it is superior, and that's where we begin.
Johnny had a good one-liner. Unfortunately, it was off the air, so no one will ever know it. So Coors Light reigns supreme.
That's all that matters.
We were all here for it. So listen, we have some time with you tonight. I'm really excited because it was the first day of Eagles training camp. We're an Eagles network. Like we're decked out. We're ready to go. So I want to spotlight you right away. I know you've been following this all day. I told you it was going to happen. I'm making it happen right away. Initial thoughts about the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, so here's my initial thoughts, and this is maybe a hot take to start things off here.
Let's go.
There's like 95% of individuals that claim Howie Roseman is the worst general manager to ever live in the history of sports. And it's funny because at the end of last year, everyone claimed that this is going to be a 5-year rebuild and this organization is going to blow. Those same individuals, and maybe I'm referencing you guys, I don't know. We're about to find out. But those same individuals now claim that this team can win 7, 8, 9, 10 football games, and they're going to compete for this division based off of the moves, whether it's Kerrigan, Steven Nelson, Anthony Harris, Eric Wilson, that Howie Roseman made. Now, I'm not going to die on this hill because all good things come to an end. All I know at age 26 is success behind Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, whether they won the Super Bowl or not. You feel you have a chance to compete every single time a season begins because of those two. I've only seen success. Good things come to an end eventually. This is very toxic with a lot of turmoil. So it does seem to be maybe heading in that direction. But I just find it funny that now the noise is, hey, maybe they can make a little bit of noise when a couple months ago, the same individual that everybody hated is now being praised for the roster that's put together. I don't know. That's where I kind of am today, with just laughing internally at the feel surrounding this team right now.
So let me ask you this, because you right away were like kind of like a Howie defender. Was that how you were feeling last season?
No, see, I'm okay if you move on from Howie because I do believe, though, to an extent that people feel there's 10 billion different general managers out there who could step in. You hate Howie, but there's also how many other GMs in this league that's missed on $1 billion first-round draft picks, that's been an issue in their organization. There's only maybe 3 or 4 general managers in this league that you go, damn. And you can even make the argument that Howie Roseman might be one of those around the league. You know, I look like Michael Kay, who does a lot of work in New York. He has his own show up there, and he's play-by-play for the Yankees and all. And I remember when the Giants were going through some things with the draft, I tuned in one day, and he was basically talking about how why isn't Gettleman like Howie Roseman? Why aren't the Giants ran like the Eagles? And I'm kind of laughing because back here, the conversation that day is this guy's a clown. Get him out of town. While the Giants want to be ran like the Eagles. So I guess my point is it's not always sweeter on the other side. And I don't think Howie is as bad as people claim that he is.
And my biggest thing with it is, they've struggled the last couple of years. They've had to sneak into the playoffs. And you look at the drafts and you look at what they've done in terms of acquiring talent. And it doesn't always work out. You don't hit on every single draft. Look at all the other sports franchises in Philadelphia who had very top picks that didn't hit on some of these guys. They've struggled. But again, I also mentioned this new coaching staff. What if they can get production out of guys that, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz and the previous staff weren't able to get it? And that's one thing that I'm keeping my eyes on, especially this season, is the guys from the last couple of drafts. If they wind up a player or two, make a huge leap and they look like a guy that they thought when they drafted him. How does that, again, that goes to Howie Roseman because then he's picking this new coaching staff. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's very valid. Look, there's a lot of drama inside this organization right now, and I'm told that by a lot of different people who are definitely connected. So it's still definitely all over the place. There's a lot of Jeffrey Lurie fingerprints, which makes me wonder what picks are Howie's, what picks are not Howie's, what picks are Jeffrey Lurie's, what picks are, with the actual people who are doing the scouting. You just really don't know. So it's hard to blame one specific person. It's easy to just pick the one in the chair, but there's so many factors involved. Right. I guess with the new coaching staff, I'm not big on what I've seen out of Nick Sirianni. Now, he's a high-energy guy, talks with his hands. I'm a high-energy guy, talks with my hands. You would think I would love the guy, but I don't know. I don't coach an NFL football team, and I'm scared that if adversity hits, that maybe it goes out of proportion and snowballs real quick. But there is something I do love out of Nick Sirianni, and it does seem, and maybe Doug did this, he just didn't talk about it publicly to the media, but when you hear Nick Sirianni speak about the fundamentals, doing the little things, teaching, and I heard a couple people who was at training camp today talk about the way that he does coach. He's very active. He's very hands-on. Mm-hmm. There's an element there that we haven't seen under Doug, and maybe that is the difference in getting some more out of these players.
I think that's really big because so one thing we always talk about here is I physically am a teacher. So when I hear coaching that wants to teach, and we saw it even today when he was talking about Jalen Hurts' footwork. And we're like, oh, he's got a weak arm. Okay, maybe he's got the arm. We're not focused. We're focusing on the ground. So he broke down. I like Sirianni's honesty. I don't feel like we got that with Doug. We barely ever got it from Andy Reid. Chip Kelly was a flash in the pan. I mean, I think that this is a refresher when it comes to Nick Sirianni. I think that this is something different that we haven't had in Philadelphia in a really long time, and I'm excited for that. I think it's interesting that you're kind of like giving Howie the get out of jail free card, but Sirianni's like on your to-do, like your watching list, where every guest we've had, every person we've talked to, every comment that's come in has been the complete opposite. So there, you're correct, sir. It is a hot take.
Yeah, no, and I'll say this. I'm not ruling Nick Sirianni out by any means. I didn't love the way Doug spoke to the media, and he won a Super Bowl. Now, towards the end, he forgot how to run the football. He was running vertical routes with wide receivers that got picked up off Foot Locker when he had 7 different offensive line combinations. It just made no sense whatsoever. So I'm willing to give Nick Sirianni a chance. I guess my biggest fear with it's not even him specifically, although being the head coach, there's more emphasis on you. But I guess it comes down to there's no one to lean on. I really wish that a Jim Caldwell would be an offensive coordinator or, someone that's been involved, been a head coach, been experienced before in this league calling plays, like that one guy that you could rely on almost like a father figure or an older brother if there was something to go wrong. That's okay to admit, hey, I need some advice. Hey, you've been here before. I'm leaning on you. That's part of you being hired. I'm okay if Nick Sirianni willingly woke up and said, I need to talk to someone about maybe getting some advice here. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's no one to really lean on to give him that sort of advice if things do start to get out of control. And, that's concerning to me.
Well, yeah. That's very true. It's like they gave the kids the keys to the Cadillac, and Jeff Stoutland's back there, telling everybody to get off his lawn. But besides that, it is a very, very young coaching staff, energetic but young. So I can see that point. I feel you on that.
I guess too. Maybe it's hypocritical. Real quick. I mean, who gave them the keys? Was it Howie? Was it Jeffrey Lurie? The guys that I'm saying that I trust, they gave them the keys. That's my concern. Right, but. You mentioned Doug, and Chip was a disaster, but it was a very weird situation that I don't expect to happen here. And Andy Reid, like these guys that we questioned so much in the beginning, have worked out for the most part.
Yeah, and another guy that I feel, people talk about Sirianni, but I think one thing that I'm super excited about is Jonathan Gannon and how he's going to run this defense. Mm-hmm. We've seen Jim Schwartz, the sticks defense and the going to keep running what he runs, and that's just what he does. I like the whole Gannon, and I liked Gannon when they started kind of giving the rumors of possibly him coming over and everything, and doing a deeper dive, and he works with the cornerbacks. Secondary's been a big issue with the Eagles for a number of years. And what are your thoughts on Gannon and how he's going to build this defense? And you mentioned a bunch of players when you first started talking about the Kerrigans, Anthony Harris's, and of course they just signed Steven Nelson to this defense.
I love that you brought that up, because one of my topics on The Fanatic about a couple of weeks ago was one thing I'm excited for and one thing that scares me. And the one thing that scared me was the youth of the coaches. And the one thing I was extremely excited about was Jonathan Gannon. So we basically hit on both topics there right off the jump. Yeah, I love it. I think, and here's another hot take for you. Jim Schwartz was not a problem, and he was just the scapegoat that everybody hated for no reason. He consistently kept your defense involved when you had slop with the roster. So I digress there, but Jim Schwartz was hated for a more aggressive reason than he needed to be. Anyway, Jonathan Gannon, though, I do feel like it was time for change in that situation, though. After so many years, the same scheme, your front four, there was definitely a problem with the cornerbacks not turning their back around, not high-pointing the football, and there was a correlation between him leaving guys on an island, guys like Darius Slay having some trouble. When Avonte Maddox is playing the opposite side, we're still talking about Darius Slay getting targeted, and you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You would imagine that you would just constantly go the other way. But Darius Slay was still getting torched at times. You would imagine that some of that has to be with Jim Schwartz and the way that he has his philosophy with his cornerbacks, leaving them out on an island like that. So I'm really excited to see what type of new vibe we have there. And how about this? Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, all these guys that have been here before. Is there just a new, fresh smell when you go to the NovaCare complex, knowing that, like, you guys are dogs and you've been running the same thing for so damn long? Now there's like just something new. That's all. Whether it's right or wrong, what they used to do with Jim Schwartz or whatever, it's just about something new and creative and different. And, there's just like some new fresh blood, if you will, with the system that might give them a spark.
I think it also ties, and we've covered this on the show extensively. It's the idea that competition breeds excellence. So with all these guys being Doug Peterson guys, they were locked into their spots. They ran basic vanilla offense, basic vanilla defense. There was nothing exciting. They were locked into their spots, and there was no competition. Sirianni said flat out, we're going to compete. And that makes the old guys go, okay, I'm going to get better. Like watching Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat go up against each other, I love that. I love that because it makes you want, okay, I'm not losing my spot to this guy. I'm going to be better. That's how you turn excellent.
I believe that works for some. Do you believe that Fletcher Cox is sitting there today going, I might lose my job to somebody? Probably not.
No.
But you hit it on the head, though, with some of these guys that are really looking for their spot to to solidify.
Right. All right, we got a comment over here. Sorry, Mike. I forgot Mike's producing the show. We got intern Mike producing the show. Brody, how do you think Alex Singleton will play out this year?
So to me, he's one of those workhorse guys that's always going to leave everything out there. He's got flaws in his game. He's got holes in his game. But, there's a part of me that wonders, were we just hyping him up because it was that bad with Nate Gerry's of the world that we're expecting like this nice piece to be in there? Or is there something really to it? And I think I'm somewhere in between. We probably saw the lowest of the low possible in the history of the National Football League in that one position in Nate Gerry, to the point where, all right, you see Singleton, it's like when you kind of are at the bar and there's some women hanging around and you see the 6, but she's hanging with a 2, so she looks like a 10. You know what I mean? It's kind of that philosophy where, but I think he's going to give you some solid minutes. And with Davion Taylor, I guess he's going to be another work in progress, if you will, I guess. So I think he'll hold his own, and playing next to someone like Wilson will give him the opportunity to maybe not have as much stress on him as last season.
So you brought up Davion Taylor, and it brings up the younger players on the roster. How do you feel this coaching staff can help, build up some of these younger players to, they're going to be getting a lot of reps because of the preseason games and, a new staff. They want to see what they have. How do you think it's going to help these younger guys?
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, I feel and this is just how my motto is when I look at athletes that are young in any league. It doesn't have to be necessarily football, but tying it to the Eagles, you're so hungry when you're young, right? So I hate to take away what this means for the coaching staff, but if you're a young player playing under Nick Sirianni, or you're a young player playing under Frank Reich, or you're a young player playing under Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, it's like you have it or you don't. So I almost look at it from a perspective of, what are these athletes giving me, right? Because like the ones that make it and the ones that have that edge, that attitude, that swagger to them, no matter what the coaches are going to do with them or not do with them in practice and things of that nature, they have it. They have that it factor. They're going to bring it every day. And Corey Clement is like the perfect example of that Super Bowl year. You know what I mean? Like, was that Doug Peterson, or was that him being the killer that season? So I put a lot of stress on the player themselves when I watch sports. So I'm almost taking it from that angle. Less what do the coaches do and how do they implement things for these young guys, which matters, by the way. I'm not trying to take away anything from how they do put their fingers on these players and, blossom them, help groom them. But, a lot of this comes from within. You're an NFL player. Are you going to make it where you're one that everyone knows of, or are you just going to be a guy? Like, how deep do you dig to make that next step from the individual perspective?
Right. So, tying into one of the big moves that happened finally, it was as I described on my show on Monday night, it was the Ross and Rachel will they, won't they of the offseason.
Huge Friends guy, by the way. Go ahead.
There it is. Steven Nelson is finally a Philadelphia Eagle, right? He's finally a Philadelphia Eagle. We all knew it was going to happen. They just decided to wait until July, 2 days before training camp, to make it official. Thoughts on the signing? How does it impact this team? Does it give them an extra win or two? What does the Steven Nelson as an Eagle do for the team and for Steven Nelson moving forward in his career?
So I don't necessarily know exactly what Steven Nelson we're going to get. It's probably not going to be 2 years ago or 3 years ago Steven Nelson, but I expect a bit of a bounce back from last season. And what I'm expecting out of him is hold your own. Don't get abused. Yep. You don't have to be elite. You don't have to be a star, but just be efficient, be effective. You might get beat once in a while. Everyone gets beat once in a while as a star corner. If you're just going to be an average corner, there's going to be plenty of times where you do get exposed or whatever here and there, but it's about how do you handle it? What's the adversity like? Do you bounce back the next play, or are you just so defeated inside that you see 3 or 4 passes constantly back right towards him, and then, that's when it gets ugly. So what I think it's big is it puts players back in their spots. You have a 5'11" Avonte, or 5'8", or 5'9", however small Avonte Maddox is, playing on that outside. It's like, that's not going to work. That's not effective. Nope. It brings him back into the nickel spot, and it puts players back in their traditional spots, really just the slot, but that's huge. I mean, that's literally huge. So that's what I'm expecting out of Steven Nelson. I think it solidifies just a spot where an actual outside corner might be average, but that's okay. I think right now average is fine considering you had below average there. My concern, what happens when one guy goes down? Are we back to the Jaquettes of the world?
The depth, yeah. The depth, it's a concern. It's a concern. Now, if you ask Johnny what his dream scenario is that we have, he's already laughing because he knows what I'm doing here. We have Darius Slay, we have Steven Nelson, and somehow the stars align and we get Xavier Howard from Miami.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I heard Tim McManus actually talking about this earlier today, and, it's just financially, I don't see any possible way in hell that really can go down. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess maybe we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But this is how it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because if you really look at this and you look at, like you said, Avonte Maddox going to the slot, but it also lets a guy like Zach McPherson not have to be pushed into a role early when he's trying to develop and trying to learn the NFL game. Because, a guy from Texas Tech drafted, he wasn't highly drafted, but he's, they liked him. So you have guys like that and other guys, Josiah Scott and, I know Michael Jaquette, and you have these guys, they're not, now you did say with injuries, I understand that, but right now they're not pushed into needing to play and to play crucial snaps. They can kind of sit back. They can learn the defense. They can learn the NFL. They can kind of sit back and, do what we expect with having a guy like Steven Nelson there to be a vet and to be the starter alongside Darius Slay.
Yeah, the names that you mentioned, with all due respect to their effort that they put in and their work ethic and all that's not winning football, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're playing those players, it's not winning football. And there's a side of me that feels this way, and maybe we're going third hot take of the day. I don't know. You tell me. But there's a side of me that says, if Greg Ward is your starting slot wide receiver, that's not winning football either. And I like Greg Ward, and I think he's fine as an option down the bench. If worst case scenario, Greg Ward is a slot guy, I mean, he could hold his own for a stretch of time. But if we're talking about legitimate winning football, Greg Ward is not winning football. So hopefully Jalen Reagor's versatility and the way that they try and utilize him this year in the offense will take away some of Greg Ward. You could put him in the slot. One thing that I hated what Doug Peterson didn't do, that I think it's so simple and so basic, and I've heard Nick Sirianni mention this before, but, players have strengths. Put these players in positions where their strengths make sense. I'm sick and tired of watching Alshon Jeffrey wide receiver screens when you have Quez Watkins, John Hightower, Jalen Reagor. You have guys who can actually do something with speed, yet we're giving it to the guy that has 9,000 injuries and looks like he's 74 years old out there, whether it gets you 3 or 4 yards or not. Like, I get it. Sometimes it actually gave you a couple yards. That's what you're looking for on first down. Whatever. So be it. But my point is, you have these players that have speed. If you can get the ball to them within 2, 3, 4 yards of line of scrimmage and let them go to work, you're just looking at the positives of what they bring. Doug never really did that.
There was zero changing the game plan. It was, this worked for me for a while, and then it was zero. It was the same thing with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly said, I'm going to put out my offense, and then the NFL does this thing where they adapt to it, and they start planning for it, and Chip Kelly still tried to run it down the throats. He still tried to push his offense. Jason Peters should not have been running 75 snaps per game. He shouldn't have been doing it. Doug Peterson refused to throw, a crazy thought here, a slant route. The easiest route in football. It would have helped the former quarterback. It would have helped the young kid quarterback. It would have helped these wide receivers who, let's call it like it is, should not have been put in starting positions last year. They had no training camp. They had no rookie mini camps. And they were told, okay, you're now a starting wide receiver. They turned from developmental players to expectations. And I think that's really important with this new coaching staff playing to the strengths. It's also why, and you already mentioned Greg Ward, I went on a rant last week. I'm done with Greg Ward. I'm done with Boston Scott. I'm done with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. These are guys who have shown what they are during their one game against an NFC East opponent per year. We need to move on from some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with your mentality here. Like, if Boston Scott is a third running back at some point, am I going to whine about it? No, but I understand what you're saying. It's time to, it's like, it's with the Phillies, right? I mean, not the real.
Yeah, that is a new open. That's a new open, sir.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm sick of the Nick Williams. I'm sick of the Odubel Herreras, the Michael Francos, all this and now I'm sick of the lack of power from Bohm, and I'm sick of the Didi Gregorius. I'm sick of it all. But regardless, you get my point. At some point, it's time to let's freshen up here and create this new identity and get rid of these Greg Wards, these Boston Scotts. But unfortunately, they're in a position where they might need them for one more year.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's the tough part. Like I say, if they're bottom of the roster guys and they're not guys that you need to focus on. And again, that's why they were so bad last year. When you have to rely on these guys who are rookies, late round rookies, yeah, you may get one or an undrafted guy or a late round guy that turns into something, but you can't rely on literally half the roster being undrafted and basically, late round draft picks to be able to win games for you.
Jamone Brown should never have been on a football field. So
I'll never get that play over my head when he's fixing his glove and Carson Wentz was getting sacked.
So it's funny. The video that went viral was my recording of the TV doing it. I never got my credit for it, but it was my recording. That is my entertainment center. Him fixing his and I wanted to get a shirt. We do our shirts here. I wanted to get a shirt that said Jamone, like Michael Jackson, because that guy killed me. I have never forgiven him for that. I won't. Yeah,
I don't blame you for
that
not
hurt the
doing
team. but
Oh,
players
yeah.
like that hurt the team.
And that only happens, though, when you have one of the most historic injury type of seasons ever. I mean, you're plucking guys off the streets all season long. That's why I go back to at the end of last year, seriously, and I'm not even overreacting. These were the statements that were made. They're going to win 1 game next year. They're going to win 2 games next year. And it's like, I've been watching this team for so long. I've never seen so they had the worst offensive line injury history last season in 1 year. They had the worst quarterback all season long. They had no wide receiver help at all. Their defense was depleted. And with all that being said, they won 4 games. So how bad does it have to be to win 1 football game? Like, I get it. It's emotional and it's frustrating, but think about how bad it was last year, and you still won 4 games. There's no way that this organization is in 1-win mode. You just got to breathe a little bit. And look, this season's not about wins or losses. It's not. It's about next year up where after the season's over, we go, okay, this is what we have the coach, we have the quarterback. It's all let's set up next year. Yes.
We need the answers. So speaking of the record, comments in the comment section, do you have your official Hunter Brody Philadelphia Eagle record prediction yet?
In terms of win-loss, not knowing what teams they're going to be the wins, no, I don't, but I do have the win total of 6 in my mind. So I don't know how they're getting 6, but I have 6.
Okay. All right. So listen, I know you only have a couple minutes left with us. So we're going to do kind of like a dealer's choice here. I'm going to give you 3 topics, and you can choose to rant about whichever one you want.
All right. I'm excited.
Okay. So the 3, because again, Eagles shows write themselves, we found out last year, that there's always a new piece of drama. So here are your 3 choices. You can talk about Zach Ertz and his future as a Philadelphia Eagle. You can talk about Deshaun Watson and his future as a Philadelphia Eagle. Or you can talk about the battle of the left tackles.
Okay, I need a second to digest here a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm analyzing here. See, I want to pick the Watson one, but I feel I'm going to go.
I know you do.
I feel I want to go. I want to go in another direction with it, though. Like, I don't even know if it's about what's happening on the field, or should they trade for him, should they not trade for him, or anything that he did or did not do that is being discussed. Like, I guess for me, there's so much going on with this that I just feel the debate on what you should do is almost irrelevant right now because there's so much happening behind the scenes that we just don't have information on. So to take your time out of your day to discuss it for 10 hours a day is just sort of a waste of time, in my opinion, because it's like, this is insane. This isn't a casual, should we trade for him? He might be injured. Should we trade for him? He might miss the season. This goes way beyond that, to the point where this is so serious. Let's just take a step back and wait for all of the legal issues to play out before we start diving into the hypothetical on if Howie Roseman is going to make that move or not make that move. Now, while I say that, there's a ton of reports, and Derek Gunn just hit one off about it 45 minutes ago, that this is legit. Like, this is no joke. So, like, as much as I feel we should take a step back when we know it's this serious and people really connected are running with that, it brings it back up. But I mean, we're talking about 22 different legal actions that is so extreme that I don't know. I guess that's kind of the way I look at that, is what is there to say? There's really no even debate football wise. And to me, as a sports fan, as a sports talk radio host, I don't want to go politics because if you start talking Deshaun Watson, you're not talking football. Has anyone ever talked football with Deshaun Watson in the last week? None of it is football. Nope. I want to talk football, and that doesn't mean what happened isn't important. It's very important. But when I'm in front of the microphone, like to speak about, the football side of things. This is my escape. This is my, and I hate to bring that up, though, because there are meaningful conversations that can happen with the power of sports. So I'm not taking that away. And there's a reason why, you can get a message across with this microphone. So I am not devaluing that at all. I just do feel with this specific scenario that there's a lot that we don't know about that impacts the future of this thing. So until we know it, what is there to say? So that's kind of the road I'll take the Deshaun Watson one on.
No, and I think that's very valid. And I think the thing that you said about how, like, the obsession with it, the will they, won't they, like, we have a quarterback. We have a young quarterback. We have a quarterback who has a 4-game sample size, who we need to know if he is the future. Then we have 2.5 first-round picks next year. I'm saying the half because we don't know whether or not that's going to be a second or a first.
Let me throw this at you real quick. No legal actions, 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson and Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not even if the compensation's not my debate. I will give up 4 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. I really would. Like, you're talking about a 26-year-old franchise quarterback. It's not compensation. Let me figure out Hurts. It's everything else that makes me kind of back away from Deshaun Watson more than anything else. But compensation-wise, like the 5, we know how negotiations are. We've seen used.
They ask guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, we know how it works. So, like 3, 4 first-round pick. I'm having the debate to bring in Deshaun Watson outside of legal stuff.
Right, and I think that's valid. For me personally, outside of the football stuff of it all, or outside of the legal stuff of it all, I would worry about bringing him in to this team because this team isn't ready for that next push yet. I think maybe next season, once you have some of the answers that we mentioned, who's this, who's that, is this the guy, that's a different story. But right now, you need to see if you have to answer with the Jalen Hurts thing. With the legal aspect of it all, I think it is indeed a no-brainer because if you give up, I think they wanted 5 picks, and that's what they're asking, 5 picks and a Jalen Hurts, and then to find out that he doesn't play, your prediction of 6 wins goes to 2.
Here's my one thing, though, that I just, as you were speaking, it hit a light bulb. So sure. I do agree that right now, you bring in Deshaun Watson, no matter what Adam Schefter says, this team's not going to win a Super Bowl. But it's so damn hard to find that guy that I'm willing to get that guy now and take my chances on building around him than saying, we can find that guy later because I need to figure out my wide receiver too. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it's like this opportunity doesn't come often, where if this was just football and nothing was happening behind the scenes, then that's why I'm not wasting that chance just to see what Nick Sirianni and Hurts is, because you can't pass up on that.
True. Well, listen, you have given us an extra amount of time, so I want to thank you for coming on, Hunter. You have been absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. A lot of passion, a lot of energy. This has been Hunter Brody. First off, let me just say this. You are more than welcome to stay on if you want. We are not throwing you out. I know you may have to choose to leave, but you are more than welcome to stay.
I do have to choose to leave, unfortunately. I got to take care of the fiance. She got the wisdom teeth out, and she's struggling a little bit. So here I am playing a little daddy daycare with the dog. I got this, I got that. It's a hell of a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
The wife got her gallbladder out last week, so I understand. So
it's I made dinner. It's like, hold on a second. Whoa. What am I doing? What am I doing here?
The wife comments in right there because she's got nothing better to do than listen to me shout from the other room.
That's funny. Yeah, because you can hear me too. The way my basement's set up. We built this whole room in our basement, right? It's like, great. It's like 12 by 10. It's fine for the man cave, the studio, except right above us is our bedroom. So here I am at 12 o'clock after a Phillies game. This fucking team. And I get a text like, really? And I'm like, damn. I'll tone it down. I'll take it down a notch.
So I'm going to try.
Before we head off, I understand you with the 12 after a game. I watched the Mariners. That's my team, as you can see.
I saw that. I was going to throw a little something your way, but go ahead.
I watched them on Monday night come back against the Astros, hit that
amazing
grand slam, and I'm there 2:30 in the morning watching it. My daughter's asleep upstairs and my wife's asleep upstairs. I can't yell or whatever. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. I even tweeted out, like, there's nothing better to me than 2 a.m. baseball, West Coast. Like, I'm ready to, although it's it's only 10 right now, but Walker Bueller's on the bump against San Francisco. I can't wait till 2 o'clock in the morning on my MLB TV. It's like, I got all these fucking games going. I can't wait.
For me, the game would be starting.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Late night baseball.
Well, like I said, this has been Hunter Brody. He is at Broads81. He is the host of Sports Talk with Broads. He's the creator of Broads Media. He is a 97.5 Fanatic host. He's a producer of Inside the Birds, and he has absolutely crushed this 36 minutes with us. So, Hunter, I want to thank you. I hope your fiance feels better.
Thank you. Me too.
And
we'll have to do it.
You are more than welcome. You're more than welcome anytime.
Absolutely. You have my contact, man. Reach out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just so you know, on Monday nights, I do a show called Chips and Dish, which is all of the sports. So apparently I might need some schooling in some flyers. I heard you were a guy to talk to about that.
Yeah, I can do some hockey. I can definitely do some hockey. I'll break down some fourth lines, get pucks deep, line changes, you name it. Power play, blocking shots. Where do we begin?
There we go. I love it.
Be on the lookout for that. Hunter, I want to thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, bud. All right, so Johnny,
before we do that, let me go plug in. See the plug here? I got to go plug it into the charger. I don't want to die on you.
Plug it in, plug it in.
If you want to plug some sponsors, I plug this in.
I can plug some sponsors. That's what I was going to do. So we had Hunter Brody come on. I haven't had the opportunity to tell you about all of the people that help out with the All About the Birds podcast. So first off, we got to give a shout out to Statement Games. They are a fun, free twist on fantasy sports. There is a link in the bio, so make sure you're checking them out. We have oddsjam.com. You can use their arbitrage calculator to not lose money. Again, link is in the bio. We have the AATBirds.com/shop, which is all of our designs. If you have an idea for a design, send Johnny, send Jeff, send myself a message, and we'll try and make it up and popping. Hey, welcome back. We have 99jersey.com. They are partnered with All About the Birds. Use the code AATBirds20 for a 20% discount at checkout. And we also have manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Use the code AATBirds for 20% off and free shipping at checkout, and you will see the brand new Olympic commercial at the end of the show. All right. Lots of breakdown there. But let me tell you, Johnny, because we've got some time left, let me tell you about the things that we're not going to talk about for the rest of the show. Because I've been really annoyed by certain stories. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, we hear a lot of the same things over and over and over and over and over again. So here are the things we're not going to talk about anymore on this show. Deshaun Watson to the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm done with it. Unless he is physically flying into Philadelphia, we're not talking about Deshaun Watson anymore. Agreed?
Agree.
Agreed. We are not going to talk about the former quarterback and his vaccination status. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Jalen Hurts is vaccinated. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Right? To quote Terrell Owens, a soon-to-be friend of the show, because I'm going to get that guy on here. Him and his wine. That's my quarterback. We're not going to talk about that anymore. What was the third thing I said we weren't going to talk about? I forget. It's been a while.
I thought that was it. You just really went on those two things you really didn't want to harp on.
Yeah, I'm over it. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Well, maybe it was Zach Ertz's bleached blonde hair. Maybe that was.
No, so let's spend 5 minutes on that. I only can assume that Zach Ertz's bleached blonde hair is because he is supporting his wife, who he wants to get a gold medal. Beside that, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he thinks it's going to help him, be able to break tackles. I don't know that, but yeah, bad choice. But again, we all make them.
As my wife said, he's got to take his ass back over to 8 Mile because that's ridiculous. Way off the rails. Shout out to the missus. But let's talk about Zach Ertz a little bit. So Hunter, he passed off on that one. So Johnny, I want to get your take on it. After a whole offseason of will they, won't they, and he's never going to play for the Eagles again, and there were tears and everything, and Zach Ertz is here, and Howie Roseman came out today and said he expects Zach Ertz to be on the roster.
So I will address that, but your wife's comment, swimmer, if he would get some manscaping, exactly.
Hey-o.
But
your balls and Julie Ertz will thank you.
My thing with the Ertz situation is, do I want to see him gone? As a fan, you hate seeing long-time players leave, but again, it's inevitable. It happens. Right. Players can't play forever. You have a young tight end in Dallas Goedert behind him. But the problem is, and my biggest fear, I should say, is he gets hurt. He's running a route and he pulls up lane. He hurts something and they can't trade him. Well, yeah, they could always, you could always try to do a release and, you can do certain things, but there's no value there. And I feel like their value is a lot higher than what people want to give, but I don't know if he's going to be. To me, I think it's going to happen, but it may, and George, who always comments about he's going to get released and always talk about they're not going to be able to trade him. I'm going to lean his way. I think at inevitable, he's going to be released, whether it's after one of the preseason games or right before the preseason.
Why? Why though? Who do you have as a tight end that can replace him? So I know he's not, even though his hair says otherwise, the gold standard anymore of tight ends, but who do you have to replace him as a quality tight end too? You have a 2 tight end punch in an offense that requires 2 tight ends.
I guess you can only say Dallas Goedert takes that eventual next step that we've been waiting for, and then you have Richard Rodgers, who's a pro. He's a pros pro. But I'd love for Ertz to stay and have a great season. But
sure,
the thing is, he's a free agent after the year. You're not going to be signed, and you get a compensatory pick if you sign. I understand. I want him to do great, but I just don't think he's going to be on the roster this year.
I don't know. So again, you do need leadership. You do need the ability to compete. He's there now. And as you mentioned, he's got 1 year left. So think about all the other guys we've talked about on these 1 year proven deals. He right now couldn't even get a 7th round draft pick as compensation. Or maybe that was Howie putting the block on a 7th round draft pick. Nobody wanted him this offseason. He has got to come back and prove that he can still play in this league. He needs to be here. We need him here. It is a symbiotic relationship. I don't see how the Eagles could move on from him this season as of right now. At least not with a straight release. I think a trade maybe, but not as a release.
The biggest thing that came out of it was the report of he's gotten over all the issues or whatever. He's gotten over it. He's over it. And he's really ready to come in and whatever. To me, that's okay. He's gotten over it. But, if he starts the season, if he's on the roster, I'm going to root for him. I'm not going to root against him. I'm going to root for him, and I hope he has a hell of a season. But my gut feeling is I don't think he's going to be on the roster. That's just what I think.
Like I said, again, if they can trade him, that's a different story. I don't think with a guy like Zach Ertz, who has been, as basically my wife is speaking for the people, he is loved in Philadelphia. That's not how Zach Ertz's story ends. Not in Philadelphia. If they can trade him, fine. But I don't think that they can. So I think he stays here. And I'm okay with that as long as it's as a tight end too. See, it was really great as Ertz came into the league, Selleck positioned from the 1 to the 2 and phased himself out. That's what Zach Ertz needs to do now.
Because the thing is, after this year, if he somehow plays the whole year and wants to stay, he's not going to be getting anywhere close to what he's making.
No.
I understand he wants to be paid a lot. His value, he's getting into his 30s, and his value isn't there. If you look at the other top tight ends, Travis Kelce came in the same year as him, but they're two totally different type of players. But he's not going to get anywhere close to that. So, is $8.5 million really that much, that needed? And that's what I really think it comes down to, because they could have gotten rid of him a while ago and got that $8.5 million. So
Sure.
if it's really something that is absolutely needed, I think he would have been gone a long time ago. But I hope he's on the roster. But unfortunately, my gut's telling me he's not going to be.
All right. So a couple stories besides the Zach Ertz and his hair came out today. And a lot of it came from who was taking the number 1 reps. Now, I want to preface this by saying it is the first day of training camp in July.
It's Philly Twitter. We overreact with everything. So come on.
Of course. But let's overreact a little bit, shall we? So, again, we're playing the choice game. Johnny, would you like to discuss offense or defense first?
Give me defense because I think I know where you're going. So I'll let you go.
Okay. Davion Taylor took starting linebacker reps. Thoughts?
So my initial thought was Alex Singleton was one of the players that was put on the COVID. I said IL. I'm thinking baseball. The COVID list. So that's a big reason why you saw Davion Taylor get those first reps because it would be Alex Singleton. Now, you think, oh well, what about T.J. Edwards? What about Sean Bradley? You're looking at these other players, but T.J. Edwards is more. He's going to be there if it's a rundown. So a player that's athletic, who is an athletic linebacker, if you look at it, other than Eric Wilson, it's going to be Davion Taylor. So maybe they're just trying to see what they have in the first team reps, see if something that they can do, they can coach him up. And hey, we've clamored about it. He was a 3rd round pick last year, and we thought
he has to be able to do something.
We thought it was a reach. Many people thought it was a reach. So you're seeing him out there with the ones because Alex Singleton's not there. The only other thing it makes me think about is, so he's linebacker, he's second team linebacker then. So it opens your eyes because it was a little bit telling. Now let's see the rest of this week into next week. Let's see what kind of happens.
Does he continue? Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's a very rational way to look at it, which makes you probably one of about all of Philadelphia who looked at it that way. Everyone else went, oh my God, Davion Taylor is the starting linebacker and Alex Singleton's a bum and Nate Geary's going to come back. And okay, let's pump the brakes, my friends. He started today on the first day of training camp in July. He is a 3rd round draft pick from a year ago. Again, by my qualifications, 1st round picks play the first year and they are contributing members. 2nd and 3rd round picks are expected to be starters or contributing members by or in their 2nd year. It tracks. It tracks. Jalen Hurts being the starting quarterback tracks. It all tracks.
Well, you want to have the successful, top of the draft. You need to get contributors out of that, or else you're going to be in a very, very tough predicament when you look at, roster structure when you're not being able to get that. But no, a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? But then you got to think about Alex Singleton being on the COVID list. And
right.
But again, it does make you think, hey, is he on the 2nd team now? So who does that push to the 3rd team? Sean Bradley and T.J. Edwards. And remember, a lot of these players are from the old regime. So
yes, they got to earn it.
None of these coaches are tied to these players. Oh, I drafted this guy. I know that. Yeah, they may know of these guys, but they got to see how they fit their system, how they look on the field. So there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of shuffling, and it brings to you on the offensive side of the ball with, Andre Dillard took the first team.
Oh my God!
I know they switched. They went back and forth with the first team, so it wasn't like Mailata was only on the 2nd team. They did go back and forth, but let you react or overreact.
I'm going to overreact. I'm going to overreact in a way because Jeff is not here to spaz out. Jeff is not feeling well. I haven't mentioned that tonight, but he's not here to spaz out. So I'm going to spaz out for both myself and him. Are you kidding me?
Lean back. There you go. You got to get comfortable.
This isn't comfortable.
Well,
nor is it comfortable to think that Andre Dillard is going to be protecting Zach Ertz's, not Zach Ertz. See, now I'm ready to go. All right. And Mike, I was reading Mike's comment. Mike is ready to spaz as well. All right. Let me lean back and reset so we can get a good video quality here. Nor is it comfortable to think that Andre Dillard could be protecting Jalen Hurts' blind side all season. We have seen absolutely nothing out of Andre Dillard his entire career to make us think that he is a starting caliber NFL player. He has been hurt. He has been weak-minded. He has been placed on the wrong side. Meanwhile, Jordan Mailata was a team player all last season. He did everything that was required of him. He would rush down the field and pick up the players as they got to knock their ass down. He has learned at an absurd rate. He is a natural athlete. I do not understand whether they are tied to him or not, whether it was an old regime or not. Jeff Stoutland is still there. You're telling me Jeff Stoutland cannot go? No, Jordan Mailata is my guy. The best offensive line that we have is Jordan Mailata right now, Isaac Salamalu, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, and Lane Johnson until Landon Dickerson gets healthy, in which case Salamalu can go because Dickerson can move to left guard until Kelsey goes, in which case Salamalu goes to left guard. You can move.
He didn't practice today. He had a sleeve on his knee on his right leg for a hamstring issue. So that's
Jordan Mailata needs to be the starting left tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles, and because he is still so raw in this league, any rep that he misses out hurts him as a player that still needs development. The vein is telling you how serious I am about this.
Now, what about this? I think of it this way. How about this? So Andre Dillard is put in as the first, he'll get the first rep with the first team. You know, they're giving me the first rep, doing that. What if then they keep doing that, and then all of a sudden they say, okay, well, you're going to play on the second team now, and see how it hits him mentally. How does he react with that mentally when he gets pushed right to the second team? Because again, football is a mental game as well. It isn't just all physical. So maybe they're trying to see where his head's at with that. If they say, all right, well, you're not going to play first team, where his head's at. How does he bounce back? How does he look in practice when he knows he's not on the first team anymore? He's on the second team. Not saying that's what they're doing, but it's a little bit of a thought if you think about that. In terms of you're doing a position battle, how are these guys reacting? How are they playing once they're told, you know what, you're going to be put in your second team. You're not going to start off right away. The same could be said for Jordan Mailata. They did, Jordan Mailata wasn't the one out there for the first reps.
Yeah.
So, I know we're trying, we're grasping straws here. We're trying to, think.
No, I feel very strongly about this. Just like I feel very strongly like Jalen Reagor didn't have a full practice today because he was limited with a lower body injury. Just like Isaac Salamalu was injured today. How are you injured when you haven't played a game since January? Not even December, right? How are you injured? What have you possibly done? How soft is this team? Go out and play, compete. You have a new coach. You need to go out and impress them. This is embarrassing. Go out and play tough. I, as a camp counselor today, told a whole bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds that they needed to sack up because I was tired of them crying. These are NFL players. They need to sack up.
So I'll remember that. So when the Eagles are losing and you're crying, I'll make sure I tell you to sack up.
Do it.
Okay. But
do it.
the other thing that happened is, LaRaven Clark and Rodney McLeod started on the PUP list. That was expected. And then there was a couple guys, Andrew Adams, Singleton, and Matt Leo went the COVID. So either they were exposed or have it, either or. They don't specifically tell you. But that's kind of the injury report. And a few guys didn't practice. Samalu, I know Reagor was somewhat limited. But, that's his first day of camp. And, I will say this. I love seeing the videos. I love seeing the guys out on the field. I did notice, watching Jalen Hurts, it looks like a little bit, if you take his throwing motion from last year and his throwing motion this year, and I know Sirianni talked about his feet and different things, got a little bit of zip on the ball. But I like it. I like what I see. I like
this.
Well, you like Arcega-Whiteside. Is he going to be your player to click?
Nah. What I like is he plans to meet Jalen Hurts plans to meet with wide receivers and tight ends after every practice and address what worked well, what didn't, what they need to work on. Devonta Smith said Hurts is the type of guy you want leading a team.
That's a leader.
That is a leader. And with everything swirling around, he still goes, I'm going to get better every day. I'm not going to mess around here. I know I'm here to win a job. Oh, well, what do you think of that guy from the Texans who might come and steal your job? I can't control that. Like, I'm here to play football. I'm QB1.
Yeah. And
that's what we need.
The other thing I want to say is, last year after his first start and his first big time game action after Green Bay, and then the following week, we watched his press conference and it was like, oh, he doesn't seem too comfortable. Watch him now. How did, after time, after being able to get himself acclimated, get himself comfortable, and you can see it. You can see it in his personality. You can see it in his demeanor. You can see it in the actions and what he does. And you can't teach leadership. People can try and lead. People can try and be a leader. But again, to lead is a little bit different because it's same thing with, like you're talking Little League. Little League coaches, you have how many different kids, and all these different kids are going to be coached differently. It goes with you get higher in the ranks into, high school and college and the pros. Everyone reacts to everything differently. So you have to know how to approach different people differently. And you can't either coach, manage, whether you're in a job, a workplace, a team, anything. You can't go and do one style and say this style is the way it's going to be, and if you don't like it, then that's not always the best way to get the production out of either your employees or your teammates or your workers, whatever it is.
It can't be based on your comfort level. As a leader, it cannot be based on your comfort level. It's got to be based on what's going to work well, which, to segue into one of our final points, is what I really liked about Nick Sirianni today. You could see his passion when it came to coaching. You could feel how he talked about the team. Like, I'm ready to run through a brick wall for this guy. I can see why they hired him. Now, will it translate to wins and losses on the field? Will it translate to player development? We don't know any of that. But looking at how if he talks to players the way he talks to us and the way that he talks, like, you can see why they are all about him. You can see why they are ready to run for a wall for him. Unlike, and I'm going to take a quick Giants shot here, what happened with Kelvin Benjamin today. Kelvin Benjamin was told he needed to lose a couple pounds after a minicamp. He showed up today at training camp fatter, so they cut his ass. Kelvin Benjamin is a free agent. He's a fat free agent, but he's a free agent. He showed up at 268 pounds as a wide receiver. Bro is husky. It is the same way that in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is not ready to run through a wall for anybody, except maybe for Randall Cobb, who they just traded back for.
I heard Jordy Nelson's on his way back, too.
Sure, Reggie White might come back. Everybody, Brett Favre might come back. They all might come back. Look, what it comes down to is, and again, I know I bring this up a lot, and I'm aware of that, but as a teacher, I have had a lot of success as a teacher because my students like me. They respect me. They know I have very high expectations, but they like me, and they will learn from me because they like me. A lot of kids don't like social studies, just like I didn't like science because I had really bad science teachers. I have kids who love social studies because of how I teach. Players want to like their coach and respect. Now, there are other examples like your Bill Belichick's who just win, so they respect the winning. I get that. Sirianni is passionate. He's out there in the trenches with them. He's out there showing them, physically showing them what he wants and setting that example. I think Sirianni is the guy for the job. I do.
Well, you make a good point about the Belichick because he wins. So winning will kind of cure whatever's done.
Winning cures all.
Take a look at all his assistants that have gone on to be head coaches. And the success rate is pretty darn low. So
that's a scientific number, by the way.
That's a pretty low scientific number. But no, I like Sirianni. I like what he brings. I like his, if I could say, tenacity towards, everything. And, his motor just goes and goes like the Energizer Bunny, just goes and goes and goes. And he wants to teach. He wants the little intricacies of the game. He wants to teach to everyone to get better, whether you're a top wide receiver prospect or you're a guy fighting for a roster spot. No one's better than anyone else. And he's just trying to teach everybody to get better. Everyone can get better no matter where you are, which is great. And speaking of, getting better, maybe we should go on to our poll question and see.
Let's go.
Let's
go. Because I was going to go into Andy. So real quick before we do that, hold on, Mike, intern Mike, take it down. Because what I was going to say is that my favorite year with Andy Reid was the year with T.O. on the team, and they had a wager going on that if T.O. caught 15 touchdown passes, Andy Reid would wear tights, right?
He would have done it if he got hurt.
I know. I need a coach with a little personality, and I think Sirianni brings a lot of that. Okay, poll question, go.
So the poll question was, which player could be a surprise in camp for the Eagles? And we had 324 votes, so it meets the criteria. Jeff's
official poll.
Of at least 100. So it beats his criteria. We had Andre Dillard, Davion Taylor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and other. And to give examples. So the winner was Davion Taylor at 37%, which was pretty interesting because he did start with the first team rep. So, there's a little bit there. If he does surprise, it's going to help there. Andre Dillard was second at around 30%. And then J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was at about 23%.
Ew.
And 10% was other. And we had comments like Jacoby Stevens and Kenny Gainwell and Kayvon Wallace and Michael Jacquet and Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins. So I know where you went on it because you commented. And
yes,
I
did.
Because I commented as well. So I'll let you go first with who you thought. And the funny thing was, a cool little nugget here as well was
a nugget. I like that.
I know, right? Little chicken nugget.
Hey, all right.
Somebody commented Kayvon Wallace, and he tagged Kayvon Wallace, and Kayvon Wallace liked that. So Kayvon Wallace may have a little bit of a little eye to that, thinking I will be a surprise. So it turns you to your point of who you picked.
So I picked Kayvon Wallace. For a really simple reason. So Kayvon Wallace was drafted very high. And I say very high because I had high expectations for him. I thought he was a steal of the draft. I thought that Kayvon Wallace, because I love me some safeties from Clemson, a championship winning team. I mean, he was a stud. Kayvon Wallace was an absolute stud. And under the last regime, he got pushed to the side. Even with us having a 4-win season, he was pushed to the side. So Kayvon Wallace has probably the biggest chance to succeed because he's not stuck behind all of the guys who were locked into the old regime. He has veteran leadership surrounding him, which means he's not forced to be a starter. He can learn the position. He can learn his role with veteran leadership and an actual coaching staff to develop him. Kayvon Wallace is absolutely primed to succeed, and the sky is the limit for the guy.
I like that. I was going to go Quez Watkins, but I switched it. And I went with the guy I was originally going to have in the poll before we kind of – your idea, we kind of switched it up. But I had Michael Jacquet. And a lot of people like to bring up the Dallas game. I understand that. But when you look at a guy like Michael Jacquet, now he's not going to be featured to have to play, a major role. He can learn his defense. Jonathan Gannon is very successful with big, long corners. And his wingspan is one of the longest. I thought it was 81, I thought I read.
Yes, big.
And he's also used to play wide receiver at Louisiana Lafayette. So he's only played, this is second or third year in terms of playing corner. So he's still learning the position. And I feel a guy like Jonathan Gannon, who's done so well with cornerbacks. And his track record, you see guys like Pierre Desir and, Kenny Moore's a slot guy, a little bit different of a guy, but, Xavier Rhodes, these guys who are, bigger corners. I just feel that I like what Jaquette brings in terms of his length, in terms of what he can be. And he didn't do too terrible when he played Arizona. He had
I was about to say Arizona.
He had a couple nice plays. Of course, they do have DeAndre Hopkins. And my thing with Jaquette is it gives him the ability to learn, to be able to sit behind a guy that's a cornerback's coach that have helped so many other corners, and to be able to teach him and mold his craft and work his craft and be able to help. And the preseason is going to be vital for him. So he's a guy that I thought that may surprise. And who knows? We've had surprises in camps. You've had the Henry Josies, and you've had, the guys the Paul Turners, and these guys who've surprised, but they didn't make the team. So, yeah,
So here's my thing: if Michael Jaquette is the surprise of camp and he's the stud of camp, then there is absolutely no player development, because there are guys that are so much further beyond him that do need to step up.
But what I had with the surprise in camp, the way I took it, I may have taken it a little bit differently than you. When I thought surprise, I'm thinking a guy that's so under the radar that is going to open people's eyes. Not a guy like Kayvon Wallace or a guy like Andre Dillard or Davion Taylor to be able to, take that next step in their development because they were a higher drafted type of player. I went with a guy on the bottom end that could rise and show out something. And I didn't go Adrian Killins. I could have went my guy who I like. See, I only have a couple more weeks until he winds up ending up on the practice squad. So
he didn't even end up. He's not even on the practice squad. He's on the scrap heap.
It's okay. When Jordan Howard makes the roster, you buy his jersey and have to wear it on air.
Let me be very clear about something. I will not buy a Jordan Howard jersey. I am not spending more money than that guy should be making on a goddamn Jordan Howard jersey. You're trying to get me to have the other vein? Like, this one already went. Like, you're trying to get. Are you kidding me? The fact that I'm surprised that no one put Jordan Howard.
Hey,
just to piss me off.
So I have a great, before we, go into the ending, before we wrap this all up, I have a great topic for you.
Okay.
Who is better, Jordan Howard or Spencer Howard? Look at that. That'd be a really good topic for you. Maybe Jason could join you and you guys can talk about the two Howards.
So this has been the All About the Birds weekly report.
See, this is how we can wrap it up.
What?
This is how we can wrap it up.
So this is Johnny's final show with the band. Oh God, I hate you. I hate Spencer Howard more. So shockingly, just real quick on a fun chips and dish note, Spencer Howard has not had a lot of people interested in him for the trade deadline. They want to make sure that we knew that they've been trying to trade him, but nobody's interested. So Jason, I figured you would appreciate that. I know you're watching now. Spencer Howard is not receiving a lot of phone calls because I guess they don't want a 2-inning starter. Okay, this has been the All About the Birds weekly report. I want to thank Hunter Brody from coming on. He was a very high energy guest. That was fantastic. I want to give a special shout out to Jeff. I know he's feeling a little bit under the weather. So hopefully he's feeling better soon. Johnny has been my partner in crime this fine evening at JohnnyU9322. I know your wife has been feeling under the weather, so I hope she is feeling better.
Yep.
I have been Chip Keggy at Chip for the Birds. My wife has been feeling under the weather, so hopefully she's feeling better. I mean, look, it's that time of year where everything is just kicking everybody's ass. But one thing's ass that is not getting kicked is this All About the Birds. We do this every Wednesday night, the weekly report, along with a variety of shows on the All About the Birds network. So tomorrow, there is the Across the Pitch, our Philadelphia Union soccer show, which has been getting a lot of traction. That show is awesome. I've tuned in and learned stuff because I do not understand soccer. I know less about soccer than I do about hockey.
They break it down very, very well. And it helps, I don't watch a lot of soccer, but got people that don't watch a lot of soccer can tune in and they can learn. And it helps. It's very, very educational in terms of helping people understand. So they do an awesome job. So definitely tune into them.
Yeah, I mean, they do a fantastic job. Friday night is the Birds, Beers, and BS YouTube exclusive show. Johnny, I know as we start to get closer to college football season, you are going to start bringing back a show. Do you want to start to talk about it? Do you want to hold off on that? What did we?
So I may do a college type of preview. The draft show, I think it'll be every few weeks. I may bring up some prospects, do a short little show, but coming this fall, I'm going to be doing a fantasy show with one of our writers, Jason Sullivan. We're going to be doing a fantasy show. So definitely tune into that. The details aren't fully done yet, but it should be starting soon. The season will be starting soon. So we'll once that's finalized and we got a day and a time that we're going to be doing it, we will definitely let everybody know. But that should be a fun show. We're going to have guests and everything. It'll be an awesome time to break down, some daily fantasy, DFS blitz. That's what we're going to be all about the risks. So
all about the risks.
So we're going to be having that. So that's going to be great. Definitely tune in to that. We'll have more information soon with that.
Sounds good. So, and then Monday night is my show, Chips and Dish, which we may have to change the name to All About the Chips. And then we'll have to change the Thursday show to All About the Pitch. So it's just going to be all about the. But now, so a lot of things could be happening in the Philadelphia sports world. There is looming Ben Simmons trade talks. There is the NBA draft tomorrow. There is the Major League Baseball trade deadline. So who knows? I might be popping on early because there might be some gigantic breaking news.
Your
the
show,
final person. My show, like last week, wrote itself. It wrote its damn self. And I had Jason on, and Jason was a great guest. So you got to make sure you check it out. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, sharing, because we love the support. Final person that we have to shout out, the man behind the scenes. You don't even know. We have intern Mike. So one of the All About the Birds writers has been our official All About the Birds interns for the past couple of months. So he is behind the scene and he's clicking stuff and putting your comments up. So shout out to Mike Devlin, AKA Intern Mike. It's going to be his new Twitter handle because I'm going to make it so. And let's pay some bills and wrap it up. So shout out to all of our sponsors. I'm just going to go quick. Statement Games, fun free twist on fantasy sports. Link in the bio. OddsJam.com, Arbitrage Calculator to not lose money. Link in the bio. AATBirds.com/shop. Make sure you're supporting our designs. We appreciate you. 99jersey.com. They're partnering with All About the Birds. AATBirds 20 for a 20% discount at checkout. And manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Use the code AATBirds for a 20% discount and free shipping at checkout. This has been the All About the Birds weekly report. My man Johnny, I am Chip. As we end every show here, go Birds.
Go Birds.
The Olympics, Euros, baseball, major championships, and concerts are all in this summer. You know what isn't? A wild and hairy bush. Tame your pubes with help from our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Their 4th-generation performance package includes the brand-new Lawnmower 4.0. If an athlete treats their body like royalty, why not treat your pubes like Olympic gold? Fellas, do right by your balls and join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com with the code AATBirds. The world is starting to open, and the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is here to help you get ready. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, plus 2 free gifts, Performance Boxer briefs, and the Shed travel bag. Talk about a world-class dismount into a post-quarantine world. This package is the perfect package for your package and peak performance in whatever sport you desire. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take the podium. This 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on-off switch can engage a travel lock, and gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed a more precise shade. Did I mention this trimmer is waterproof too? Michael Phelps is drooling just thinking about the possibilities. This package also comes with the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in both your nose and ear. This tool is a lock to take home gold in the biathlon. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. After trimming your pubes, show them some sportsmanship with Manscaped's liquid formulations. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner are the key to feeling victorious this year. Manscaped also threw in 2 free gifts in their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Achieve pubic glory this year with Manscaped.